Mara was very cold. She could no longer feel the fire, and a harsh wind was blowing through the house. Had some idiot left the window open? The unicorn opened her eyes. The house was gone. Taking a moment to process what she was seeing, Mara realized that she was laying in the open square in the middle of Camp Dim Torch. Beside her were Point, Algene, Sopak, and Ikumak. Gently she woke each one. "How did we get here?" asked Point. "Did we teleport?" "It's too soon for her to teleport," said Sopak. "It's a Solstice miracle," said Mara. Even as she spoke, Karak emerged from his house. "Sopak!" cried the captain, who ran and embraced his son. "Father, I'm sorry," said Sopak through his tears. "It's all right, son," said Karak. "Welcome home, Sopak. Welcome home." It was solstice morning. Children across the Federation were waking up to find elaborately carved wooden gifts left for them. If anyone realized they looked surprisingly similar to those in Prijapati's shop, no one said so. Splin's tree sparkled in the morning sun, making all of Mountain Shade seem more festive as families came one by one for the feast. The tables at Splim's were set for the feast. More tables had been set up in the church and in the school. For those brave enough to weather the cold, there were even tables set up in the square under the tree. Splim was beside himself. It had been a thrill playing Shanar-Kallas last night, but the adrenaline had worn off, and now he was just exhausted. It was crunch time. People were arriving in expectation of a feast, and there was no food. Earlier that morning, Algene had stopped by on the way home. "Fire up the ovens," he'd said, "and wait." Splim had done so, trusting that the seer knew something. But here it was, time for the feast to begin, and there was still no food. There was nothing else for it. He would simply have to tell the truth. Screwing up his courage, he went out to address the crowd. "May I have your attention, please?" he shouted. Waiting for the crowd to shush, he continued. "As some of you already know, the food bank in Bounty was robbed clean several days ago." A loud murmur arose. Motioning for quiet, Splim went on. "I was asked not to make this public yet, but I have no choice now. There is no food." Al-Nalam turned to his brother. "The Solstice feast with no food. That's the third sign." "Shush," said Al-Natak. "Splim's still talking." "I'm very sorry that you came all the way here for nothing, but the problem has been solved," someone shouted. Everyone turned to see Noribo walking into the town square with the wizard and a unicorn. "Everyone, I want you to meet Spectaculo the wizard and his companion, Pureheart the unicorn. They have come to solve our food problems at their own personal expense." Rog and Blotchet were surprised. Both had expected Noribo to completely blow their cover, not go along with it. Yeah," said Rog. "I, the amazing Spectaculo, shall cause your food to reappear from whence it has been spirited away to." He performed the spell exactly as Noribo had instructed him. Several letters disappeared from Blotchet's saddlebag. All of the gold they had accumulated disappeared. Then, one by one, food items began to appear. Meats, fruits, breads, bottles of wine, vegetables fresh and frozen, tubs of berries, cheeses, cakes, bags of flour, sugar and salt, candies of every sort. The people cheered wildly as Splim called out to his staff and volunteers, "Come on, everyone! We have a feast to prepare!" While Splim was cooking, Feather kept everyone from starving by spooning up berries and chunks of fruit into small bowls and passing them out to everyone. The fruit got them waiting. The succulent smells coming from the kitchen kept them waiting. Point stood by Karak's side. Sitting between them on a hastily crafted wheelchair and bundled up in both blankets and bandages was Sopak. Frostbite had done a number on him. Hornbeam had been forced to remove a great deal of dead tissue in order to prevent gangrene from setting in. Soapbox now had only one finger and thumb on his right hand. The left was completely bare. All of his toes had been lost, as well as the tips of his ears and nose. They would all grow back in time, of course. That was the wonderful thing about werebats. In the meantime, he looked rather pathetic, but he was alive. "Captain," said Point. "Yes." "I'm sorry I didn't get you a gift. I really looked for just the right one, but I just couldn't find—" "But you did," said K-Rock. "You gave me my son. That's the best present I could have ever asked for." The ground began to shake at that moment. Everyone looked around, confused at what they were feeling. Then they saw them. 4 enormous beasts were barreling down the road with fearsome-looking riders. "Soldiers, to arms!" shouted K-Rock. "Everyone else get inside!" All of the military personnel drew their weapons and stood ready to fight off the invaders. The beasts, gigantic elephant-like creatures covered in shaggy fur, stopped at the town gate. The lead rider pulled a scarf from his face and said, "Permission to join the celebration, sir." It was none other than Foxtooth. "Granted," K-Rock replied. "Sheathe your weapons, men. Foxtooth, Tripe, Redfoot, Gitch. It's wonderful to see you all home, but what's all this?" "Gifts from Wadogo, sir. These rare beasts are called mastodons, and—" he called everyone's attention to 4 wagons, which were hitched to the beasts, "a bounty of treasure and fine foods for the people of the Federation." "Not that I'm complaining, but why?" asked K-Rock as Foxtooth dismounted. Foxtooth spoke in a more hushed voice. "Because, sir, the Lamshun dynasty has been pushing its borders outward. Wadogo is afraid that they may be attacked in the near future and absorbed into the dynasty. They wish to establish an alliance with us, and have sent these gifts in hopes of putting themselves in our good graces." "That is heavy news indeed," said K-Rock. "But today is not a day for heaviness. Tomorrow is for war and battle. Today is for celebration." The first plates of food were being served now. As Rog stood waiting in line for his portion, he turned to Noribo and said, "Thank you for not ratting us out, man. We really owe you." "Indeed," said Noribo. "So if you ever need us, I guess we'll be back in Prendor." "No, you will not." Rog blinked. "Say what?" "I told everyone that you were Spectaculo the Wizard," said Noribo, "and you are going to make good on the claims you made repeatedly. You will study magic here in the Federation under the tutelage of June and Rugi, who will ensure that you do not again use your skills for selfish purposes." "But Blotchet will be lost without me." "He will not. He claimed to be your unicorn companion, and that is what he shall be. He shall live in Ponytown and study to acquire skills which will complement yours."